All right. We are live on TuneIn and YouTube, and we are coming to you from Maine. Hot Mics is in Maine, and we are on an island that is 12 miles off the coast of mid-coast Maine. And the Wi-Fi, I'm telling you right now, this computer has a long cord. I think it's 150 feet long. It's going through the rafters. It's going through different rooms. We've been on the phone with Spectrum all day. This is totally chaos. I don't know why I thought that I'd be able to do this, but I still think I can. That's all I know. We are excited to have Mark Cuban on with us today as my guest. Fascinating guy. You know, he's been talking about the third party in America, I believe publicly with Elon Musk. Elon, of course, announced that he's going to do it, the American party. So, you know, I think it's a good idea, frankly. I kind of like it. And so as we wait for Mark, I tell you, I mean, look, increasingly in this country, I think the two parties are they're kind of in a zero-sum game. It's like, you know, winner take all. I get the feeling that you and me, you know, thriving is second to the opposing party failing. If Democrats, you know, fail miserably as they have in the last, you know, several years, Republicans win. And then, you know, we lose because the Democrats before them failed. But now Republicans get going in a purposeful way, and Democrats are more invested in them failing than, you know, you and I winning. So the third party kind of forces everyone to think twice and to be on their best behavior. I mean, I guess that seems to be the method. Maybe Mark Cuban agrees or disagrees, or what do you think, El Cubano?
Whatever you say, Billy, yes.
Right? I like the idea of a third party in America because you know what? This is actually a fascinating thing because my uncle was George H.W. Bush. And when he ran in 1992 for re-election, who was on the scene but your fellow Texan?
Ross Perot Jr.
Ross Perot.
Senior, yeah, not junior. Yep.
And we're gonna used to do those infomercials, man. He would grab a little thing, he'd say, man, we're gonna lift up the hood and fix the engine. That's how we're gonna do. Remember him? I mean,
yep.
But I remember him like there was devastation within the family. And then I look at the Perot platform and it's like it was all about fiscal responsibility.
Yep.
Right. That was his main thing, was that we have a ballooning budget. And to George H.W. Bush's credit, the reason he lost re-election in 1992 was because he had a collapse of conscience when he made his promise, no new taxes. His conscience got him because he saw the national debt. The deficit was approaching $200 billion. Wall Street was uneasy. They didn't like it. He was like, this is a terrible thing. We have to get this budget back. It's $36 trillion now, Mark.
I know, it's crazy, right? Let me tell you my Ross Perot story. So I got fired from this job doing computer stuff. And so I started my own company, and slowly but surely I built it up and built it up. And Ross Perot's company became one of my big customers. So I was excited to finally meet him. Like in Dallas, for a 25, 26-year-old kid, that was a big deal. Ross Perot was the guy back then, right?
You were having a meeting with Ross Perot, and you're what, 25? That's crazy.
Oh, it was crazy. And so I walk into his office, and they have the Iwo Jima replica of the statue, right? The original thing that they made the big statue from. It was in his office. He had a Magna Carta over on this side of his office. And I'm thinking, don't trip. Do not trip. I was so nervous. So I get up to him. He's like, hey, Mark. And I'm like, hi, Mark. My name is Ross. No lie. I could not even spit out my name. It was like one of the most nervous I've ever been in a business meeting.
How tall was he?
Like 5'8".
A short king, by the way.
He was a short king for sure. He was ahead of his time.
Yeah, but you know, the idea of fiscal responsibility. I mean, why is that not incumbent upon everybody running at this point. It's amazing. The Democrats are no better than the Republicans. Republicans the same. Everybody, we just raised the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. We're going to add $3.3 trillion by, the CBO's estimates. I mean, no question that's going to happen. Trump says, there's going to be such unbelievable economic growth that it's going to account for that. It never has before.
Never.
Reagan had lots, big tax cuts and defense spending, and it was supposed to be a trickle-down deal, but unfortunately, it blew up the deficit, and his vice president, who became president, decided he had to reverse course and fix it. Until we do. And then you look at Social Security and Medicare, and they're going to become insolvent in 2033, which means people's benefits they're going to get paid 23% less.
Warren Buffett says if the deficit's more than 3% of GDP, then you can't run for re-election. You're out. All the senators, everybody out, because they don't pay any price when they don't do their job. They get to scream and yell, and it's our side versus their side, pull people apart, and it's just like there has to be some consequences, and right now there's not.
And that was another thing that Perot was a big part of his platform was term limits. What happened to public service? I mean, how do you get in there and be a senator for 36 years, 46 years? At that point, that's your business. It's not your service. It's your business. And like every other business, it's about bottom line and performance and about beating the other guy. And, you're in a competition.
Yeah, for a lot of them, it's a good business.
Yeah. And you learn way ahead of what's going. What regulations are coming down. You know how to move. Pelosi's gotten rich, but not just her. I mean, both parties. A lot of elected officials.
Got his books. I mean, the Republicans got their thing right. I mean, it's just everybody is always like you just said, Billy. It's not about service. It's not about helping the people. It's about my side winning and what's in it for me. And you know what? Let our kids deal with the consequences. That's not how it should be.
People have been talking about this for, I think most people listening to you and I would say, yeah, I agree with that. I do think there's a silent majority. Why has a third party not worked before? And more importantly, begin with this. Are you in active discussions to launch that? I thought you echoed what Elon said and thought this was a good idea.
No, I've talked to Elon twice in my life, 10 years ago or more.
Okay.
And so no discussions, just Twitter talk, right? I just reposted what he said because I like the idea. It's not like things are working so well right now, we shouldn't change it. And I don't think he's going to try to create a party that run somebody for every single office. I don't even think he'll try to run somebody for president. I think he knows that it's so close. Only 3 seats separate, in the House and same, I think, in the Senate, and so if he's able to get 3 Senate seats and he's able to get, 6, 7 House seats, he's got a lot of leverage. And that's what Elon always likes. He loves leverage and he loves control. And so, I think that's why he bought Twitter. He wants to see how much leverage Twitter gives him to help get somebody elected. So it's actually not dumb on his part. It's actually a smart approach.
Yeah, it is smart. Okay, so there are independents in there. I think there's a senator from Vermont who might be. I know for a fact Angus King, senator from Maine, is an independent. But if there was an actual party that could get 3 seats in the Senate or 2 seats in the Senate and 6 in the House, they would have
a lot of leverage,
a lot of sway.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and typically the independents caucus with the Republicans or the Democrats, right?
Right.
They're not pure independents trying to do their own thing for, a variety of reasons. But, if you can get some seats and take it in a different direction, just like we saw with Ross Perot help get Clinton elected. Clinton got elected with 37%. Now imagine that, at a senatorial level or at a House level. A lot of interesting things could happen because I don't think you look around the country and, like you said, there's a huge group of people who aren't happy with the way parties are right now. You may be a Democrat, you may be a Republican, but I don't think anybody looks at the 2-party system and says, you know what, this is perfect. Let's not change a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, look, you're a businessman. You don't have as much money as Elon Musk, but
I'm poor.
you've done nicely.
Yeah,
You
I'm not complaining.
you've done nicely for yourself. I mean, his stock took a hit today, like he got pummeled. Tesla. The last time it took a hit was when he had a falling out with Trump, and now he announces the American party, the idea of a third party, and Trump says it's divisive, it's chaos, it's a terrible idea. Elon has lost it. He's really lost his marbles. He goes after, does what he does, and Musk takes a hit again. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
but that's what
fighting
Trump does, right? And he'll forget, like if Elon comes along and gives him another red Tesla and donates money to a candidate he likes, he'll be Donald's best friend. That's just the way the president is. What have you done for him lately? That's what he cares about.
Yeah. Have you spoken to him at all? He doesn't like you and you don't like him, right?
Last time I spoke to him was the end of his first term. He called me.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that conversation?
He invited me to dinner at the White House, and he was asking me basketball questions. So it was just like, hey, I heard you traded for this guy. What's he all about? And I think it's a good trade. And do you just all these other basketball questions? And yeah, bring the family to the White House. We'll have dinner. Never made it happen, but it was always interesting when he called. He's fun to talk to. I don't agree with his politics. I don't agree with a lot of things he does, but he's always fun to talk to.
So what do you, what do you think right now as far as, we're coming off of the 4th of July, the big, beautiful bill had a must pass date, a signing date of July 4th, arbitrarily put in place by Trump. But, he wants to count down to, the 250th year of America. And this is his way of doing it. And do you think, what Elon said was very funny. He did say, I think a bill can be big. I think it could be beautiful. I'm not sure it can be both.
Yeah, and he's right.
Is this big? It's big. We agree it's big. Do you see any beauty in it?
It's big. Yeah, we agree it's big. But, the fact that it's big tells you a lot, because when something's that big, how the American people are and politicians are, even pundits are, they don't read all the details. When something is that big, well, now I guess you can put it in the chat GPT and have it spit out what it thinks is important, but no one reads into the details. And so that allows them to hide a bunch of stuff. Everybody made a big deal about Medicaid, and that is a big deal. People talked about, re-upping the tax cuts. That's a big deal. You needed to do that. But there were other little things that, gave him more executive power that were just slid in there. And I don't know that those were necessarily good, because if you think about it, re-upping the tax cuts from his first term, you just do that as a separate bill and everybody would have voted for it, right? Then you can go down, whatever you want to do with Medicaid, make it a separate bill. Elon was right. When it's that big, it can't be beautiful, because nobody is in a position to pay attention to all the details in a 1,000-page plus bill.
Yeah. And just by the way, I mean, we have to take a moment to always find humor where you can. The idea that we have a major piece of legislation in America and it's got the name beautiful in it.
I know. It's just like, but give him credit, though. Give him credit.
The tremendous tariffs, the beautiful bill. It's like,
but give him credit. I mean, he's a great salesperson.
Yeah.
He knows how to, name something and promote something and sell something. So you don't pay attention, like him selling a car. Yeah, it's missing a wheel. So what? It's got the best paint job ever. No motor? Who cares, right? Who needs a motor, right? You just, let it go downhill. That's what he does, and he's the best at it. And so, give him credit. But yeah, if the politicians were really doing their job, even particularly the Republicans, right, they would have said, this is too big. We need to break it into pieces so it's understandable.
They tried to. The Senate tried to break it into two pieces, and Mike Johnson in the House was with Trump, and he said, okay, we'll do. Everyone's afraid of him. These people are terrified. The politicians, especially the Republicans, are terrified of Donald, except Rand Paul of Kentucky, not scared. Susan Collins, often not scared of Maine. Lisa Murkowski is a senator from Alaska who is always kind of a renegade. She votes her conscience. Not this time. This time. She got $50 billion for rural hospitals and food aid in Alaska. And She said, "Okay, it may screw America, but I am a
I'm
legend
in.
in
I get
Alaska."
the choice, right? Yeah, and then you got Thomas Massey, and more power to them most of the time. But you're right, they're afraid of him. I don't know what is behind all of it and why they won't stand on their own. And it can't just be re-election, right? There's got to be more to it than just re-election. I just don't know what that is.
Have you ever seen the movie The Apprentice?
The movie? No, I have not.
No, the one that Sebastian
Yes, it came out,
Stan was nominated as.
Yep.
He's marvelous. The guy is so good as Trump. He's not doing the whole big, impersonation thing. He's got the nuances. And then you got Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn. This is a movie you have to see.
I have to check it out because I've read every book about Roy Cohn. I mean, if you know who Roy Cohn is and what he's about, you know what Donald Trump is about.
That's exactly right. Never, ever admit defeat.
Yep.
Always claim victory and absolutely dismantle your opponent with everything you have. I mean,
facts don't matter. Doesn't matter if you learn anything. Doesn't matter what the truth is. Roy Cohn never read books. He just makes stuff up all the time. And he taught Donald Trump.
Now, most people who, a common criticism for the BBB, the big beautiful bill, is that you're going to gut Medicaid by $1 trillion and you're going to make the rich richer. You're going to, billionaires are going to pay less, and that's you.
Yep.
I haven't seen, how do you feel? How do you respond to that?
I mean, I haven't looked how it impacts my finances, but I didn't need any help.
No.
I got enough money, right? You could have gone back to the Obama tax rates where it was 39% instead of 37%. That's fine, right? I didn't need any more help. Same on corporate taxes. For the biggest companies, they didn't need any help. I don't know exactly who.
Will you spend more? Will you now, because your taxes are 37% instead of 39? That's a lot of money. Will you commit right now to spending that much more to juice the economy?
No, because I don't think I can spend much more. If you see my kids and my family and my wife, oh my God, I don't think it'd be possible. But,
I'd like to be one of them.
Yeah. But, seriously though,
does that theory ever work? That the trickle down, it's going to be so flush, we're all just going to juice that economy like crazy for a little while, maybe?
No, even so, it's so cash is so top heavy in terms of companies and wealthy people. The marginal value of those 1 or 2 percentage points of tax don't change your behavior at all. It just doesn't change the way you look at investments. Of all the companies I've started, of the hundreds, if not 1,000+ companies I've invested in, not one single time have I ever considered tax rates. Not once.
Really?
No, because either it's a good investment or it's a bad investment. Like back when I met Ross Perot, the tax rates were a lot higher and didn't stop me, or I didn't care. I was trying to run a business. And I think the same thing applies now. During Obama, when the tax rates were higher, people didn't stop investing. The stock market didn't stop going up. In fact, when Obama took over, the market was in the toilet. The economy was in the toilet. And even though rates went up, the economy kept on growing.
Are you going to look? You sold a large percentage of the Dallas Mavericks. Are you clearing your decks for any type of political involvement? Let's call it public service.
Yeah, just for costplusdrugs.com, right? I really think I have a chance to change healthcare with Cost Plus Drugs. We've cut the price of healthcare we've helped millions of people in the 3 years that.
So for those who don't know, how did you do it?
So I got a cold email actually from a Dr. Alex Oshmayansky, who had this idea about changing how drugs are made, how they're sold. And so we started a company called costplusdrugs.com, and it launched. And what makes us different, you go to costplusdrugs.com, you put in the name of the medication you take. We don't have all of them, but we've got, more than 2,500 of most of them. And we show you our actual cost. So whatever it may be, imatinib is a cancer drug. So you put in imatinib, we show you the cost that we pay for it. We only mark it up 15%. That's our profit margin. That's it.
How much do other farmers, how much does a big chain mark it up?
Oh, depending on the drug, hundreds of, like if you just walked into a big chain pharmacy and asked for a imatinib, what we charge $34.50 for, in some cases they'll charge you $2,000 for.
What?
Yeah, it's insane. Like I get emails all the time, Billy. Like I got one the other day, I was going to charge, guy's insurance ran out and he didn't know what to do. And so he just called the pharmacy and they were going to charge him $9,000 for this multiple sclerosis drug. Our price was like $93. And it's because we're transparent and people now can finally see their price. And so we built a manufacturing plant to make them. And so we make these drugs like pediatric cancer drugs that are insurance supply. We have a wholesale group to save money for hospitals. So hopefully they can save patients money. And then costplusdrugs.com, we just keep on blowing and growing because and we're all word of mouth, by the way. And so
it's all about volume. The more people, if everybody uses it, that 15% margin becomes meaningful for you.
Yeah, for sure. But we're close to break even now, but helping millions of people save money on their medications, that's fun, right? To me, that's what I like. And so when you ask, what am I trying to do? We're starting on medications. We've got some that we don't have yet. We're working on getting those. And then we'll also get into the medical healthcare side and try to replace insurance with something reasonable.
Is the reason why other pharmacies and drug distributors, is the reason why they haven't done this because of special interests and lobbyists and all these things? And that, they lobby the shit out of these senators and congressmen and get their way. I mean, these margins are crazy.
Yeah, there's these things called pharmacy benefit managers that are the middlemen. And we're the only country in the world that has pharmacy benefit managers that go to the manufacturers, negotiate these rebates that jack up the cost for everybody. And then they lie and say they're saving everybody money. And then big companies use them. I mean, it's just so distorted and so opaque. And so we came in and said, that's all wrong. We're going to be transparent. I was listening to this podcast and this guy comes on and he says, I've got a formula for trust. Trust equals transparency divided by self-interest. The more transparent you are and the less self-interest, the more people are going to trust you. And so we're completely transparent. Our self-interest is only a 15% markup. And so because our markup is so low, then we're saving, we're changing lives. We're saving lives. People, I got an email from somebody 2 months probably now where he said, you know what, Mark, I'm on this cancer med. I was ready to just stop taking it because we had to put it on our credit card. And if I just stopped taking it, it wouldn't be on my credit card after I died. My wife wouldn't be stuck with it. But then we found out about costplusdrugs.com. It's $30 some a month and we can afford it. Just when you hear those stories over and over and over again, that's what keeps me going. It's fun to be part of, and we're just getting started.
You should, when Trump leaves office, if he ever does, you should hire him as your marketing, chief marketing officer, because it's not just enough to tell people about the great. You have to destroy your competition. You need to get more vocal, Mark, about what the hell these guys are doing, ripping off people like that. Talk about the ripoff, people.
Talk about they were getting ripped off. Stay tuned. We're amping things up. We're taking on the pharmacy benefit managers now. I want to take on the insurance companies next. This healthcare system, we're spending $5 trillion. It should be closer to $3 trillion. And I think we can get there. So just in this area, not any type of office for you. You wouldn't run for, you thought about it before. Yeah, I thought about it. We talked about it.
What dissuaded you?
I wouldn't put my family through that. Just all the grief. My kids are 15, 18, and 21. And why would I do that to them? It's just,
because you're doing, you think you'd be helping the rest of us like you're doing with the.
I know, it's hard enough to get along with 3 teenagers. And when it's all.
They already hate you?
Yeah. When it's all not too bad. Right. But let's just say they don't always listen to me. But, when it's all said and done and I'm taking that last breath, I'd rather be able to say that, I was close to my kids, close to my family. That's the most important thing to me. And plus, hopefully on my tombstone, they'll say, and excuse my French, he fucked up healthcare, right? Because I think we have a real chance to do that.
In a good way, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's really my motivation.
This is looking at people in the chat section here since we're live, buddy. Shona Freskin, look at I'm a nurse. This is amazing. Thank you, Mark. Love Mark. I'm a nurse. Cost plus drug transparency goes so far. You got a lot of people here supporting that. I do look. That's one of the things. That's a major fix right there, Mark. And there's other ways that you could help fix. I don't.
Well, let me get
when your kids are older and you're still a very young man.
Yeah, I'm so young. Let's get through this first, right? And then we'll see where we can go. Because if I can do this, then I think, that will open a lot of doors for me.
So let me ask you just a few random questions here as I wrote a couple things down here. What's an app that you use nobody would guess, like on a daily basis? What's something that you rely on?
Oh, MyFitnessPal.
MyFitnessPal.
Yep. Everything I eat, I put into MyFitnessPal.
Oh, really? You're one of those guys that's like watching your calorie?
Well, it's because like if I know I have to write it down, it'll keep me from having that extra slice of cake. If I know I have to write it down, I won't get that third helping of spaghetti. Otherwise, I just eat and eat. I'm really good at eating.
Have you tried one of the semaglutides? One of the, they say it's safe.
Semaglutide? No, I don't have the courage.
No needle yet?
No needle yet.
I don't know. I think the more I hear that it's safe. Oh, everybody wants. The chat section wants to hear about Luka, but we're going to get to that in a second. I like that. All right. What is the most overrated trend in business right now?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know. I think maybe AI.
Valuations.
Right. Yeah, valuations are great. Maybe for some smaller companies, every company needs to know how to use AI. There's AI. There's going to be two types of companies: those who are great at AI and everybody else. But AI still is misunderstood. So I think there's a lot of companies that aren't spending the time to learn how to do it right, and they're spending too much money when they don't have to.
You said the first trillionaire will likely be it will be someone who has mastered AI, and it could be someone in their basement.
Yep, for sure. Because AI is that
because I got ChatGPT going pretty well. I can use prompts and whatever. And my girlfriend, oh Jesus Christ, this is her. It's her therapy. I mean,
that's the whole point, right?
It's going out of business. It's scary. I'm like, don't do that. Don't even bother with that. Stay away from that. That thing has no idea what it's talking about. Wait a minute, let me see that. Holy shit, I am.
Right. It really does have no idea. It just it just gets trains on stuff, and it just anticipates what it would have read next.
And a little bit of what you want to hear. I feel like ChatGPT is a little sycophantic.
Oh my God. It's Eddie Haskell all day, every day.
And starting with a beautiful, what an intelligent question you just asked me.
You believe it at the beginning. Thanks. You believe it, right? Oh, I am pretty smart. That is a good question. And then all of a sudden you hear it every time. You're like, oh, I got played by an app. Oh my God.
But in what way would somebody
you could be a kid sitting in your basement right now, and between ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, all of them, you can just start asking it questions about businesses. For years, I would get questions and people say, mentor me about this business. What should I do in that business? ChatGPT, all the basic stuff, ChatGPT has got it. But now you can also say, well, I'm pretty good in this particular space. Come up with 10 ideas that you think I could start a business around and could make me $1 trillion. And it would give you an answer. Now, you may not be able to do it, but yeah, right? I'm just telling you because I asked it.
You already did it. You son of a bitch. You beat me to it. Hold on. Okay. What is a business I could start right now that would give me the fastest track to $1 billion? I'm going low. Reaching $1 billion valuation or revenue is extremely rare and challenging. Don't talk me out of it. Be a sycophant. The fastest track to $1 billion is ask Mark Cuban for a loan.
Ask him to write you a check.
And then screw him over and don't pay him back. Oh, okay. Everybody's on it. What is the best $100 you've ever spent?
Oh my God. Another great question again, Billy. Probably on a car.
What a jalopy.
Yeah, no, I had so many jalopies, just keeping them alive, right?
What was the first car you drove?
1966 Buick LeSabre.
Oh, a Le Sabre.
Yeah,
That's what I would say.
Sabre.
French vehicle.
I knew it was the right car. My dad knew it was the right car. It cost like $250 back then. And I got into my first wreck like 6 months later, and I just hear, okay, I'm like, did I hit something? And I look, and there's this Volkswagen that was just destroyed. I look at my car, there wasn't even a dent, right? There was nothing. It was
boom,
indestructible. So it was the right car.
Mark Cuban, our guest. This is fantastic. Mark, what's the worst job you ever held?
Oh, I worked at a delicatessen called Isley's in Pittsburgh. And part of my job was slicing. You know how they do the slicing thing? Well, I was so coordinated that I was doing, Pittsburgh got this thing called chip chopped ham, which is the ham. Yeah. The edge of my finger gone. Like it went flying. Unfortunately, it didn't get bone, but it went flying against the room across the room.
Did it end up in someone's sandwich?
I didn't look. I was just looking at my finger, hoping it was all there. And so I literally don't have any type of fingerprint on this finger. It just got sliced off at the edge. And my friends would still give me a hard time. I was 16 then, and they still give me a hard time about it.
People are they're hitting me hard about the Luka questions. We're gonna get to that, I promise you. But fire in here. Get your question. What is a deal that you would make tomorrow? No pitch deck required.
I don't know. I mean, that's the whole thing about deals. It's the best ones are the ones that someone brings to you and you say, oh, dang, why didn't I think of that? People come up with just some amazing, like on Shark Tank, people would come up with just some incredible ideas. And, that's why I did the show, because you just never know when that great idea is, where it's going to come from.
You miss it?
I miss the people. I don't miss the show. Doing the actual show itself and hearing the deals and talking to people, that was fun. Once you close the deal, then it got to be not as much fun, because, I would do these little $75,000, $100,000 deals, which to me was little, but to them it was everything. And so, the little deals take just as much time as the big deals. And I've done so many of them, it just took too much time.
Is that where you relate to Trump? Like, if you watch this movie, and I want you to see this, The Apprentice, it's very, very good. But you see how Donald Trump he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he gets his dopamine hit from deals. He just loves deals. But you are this, I mean, right?
Yeah, it's not so much deals, it's when the deals make money. That's what I get off on, right? When, like, my first company, when we sold, we had 80 people, everybody got bonuses. My second company, we sold for billions. Out of 330 employees, 300 became millionaires. When we sold the Mavs, we paid out $40 million in bonuses. That's what gets me off, right? Taking a company that's nothing and building it into something so amazing that everybody who helped me along the way benefited as well.
That's beautiful. Mark Cuban, he still owns 27% of the Dallas Mavericks. If it were up to you, would you have traded Luka Doncic?
No.
So how did you react when that happened?
I was shocked and I wasn't happy.
Did you weigh in?
It didn't matter.
27%.
Yeah, it was already done. They came to me afterwards.
What were your first? Were you what the?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. But it is what it is, and you can't dwell on it. You got to move on. And now we got Cooper Flagg, and so who knows how good he'll be? Hopefully, he'll be better. And that's no disrespect to Luka. I love Luka as a person.
Could you imagine the two of them together, though?
Oh my God, that would have been insane. Absolutely insane. But Luka's.
What would their name have been? Cooper, Luka.
The Luka Flagg, or I don't know.
Kluka.
Flag.
Luka Flagg. Yeah, I don't. Who knows? But they. I mean, that would have been.
That would have been insane.
But Cooper Flagg. Look, I'm doing my show right now from an island in Maine. Right now, 12 miles off the coast of the mainland.
Maine, right?
I'm in an island out here, and Cooper Flagg is like, he's a hero. There's two very famous Mainers right now who are not politicians, and one is Cooper Flagg first, and the other is Belichick's girlfriend.
Yeah, I didn't know she was from Maine.
She's from Newport, Maine. Yeah, Jordan Hudson from Newport, Maine. She was.
My God.
She was at the Miss Maine pageant, and Bill was there supporting her, but she came in third. So,
Bill was there supporting her.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Cooper Flagg. Now everybody knows where Maine is with Jordan's help.
He is an absolute legend. This guy. How good do you think he'll be?
I think he can be a top 10 NBA player if he stays healthy, because he's only 18. Literally, he's younger than my middle daughter. He doesn't turn 19 until December, and he works so hard at his game, and he's got some shit to him, right? He like when he plays mean, he plays mad, a little bit like Jordan played, a little bit like Shaq played, a little bit like Kobe played, like Dirk played. They all have that edge to them, and so does he.
Oh my God. Why did you sell your majority stake in the Mavs?
Again, going back to my kids, sports can be brutal. If you're really, connected to your fans, when things don't go right, it's just, and I've seen owners turn over the team to their kids and it not turn out well. That's a lot of pressure. And so, my kids hated me when I did it, but I just didn't want to put that pressure on them. And, as much as I love the Mavs and I love the fans, I just thought it was time. I really, really did. You got to start thinking about estate and trust and all that shit. And again, I've seen what's happened to all these owners. And on top of that, like, the game has changed, where it used to be you could, off your TV money and your ticket money, you could do pretty much everything you needed to do. Now, all the teams have got real estate and casinos and all this stuff around the arena. And that's just not me. I don't want to have to start learning how to build a casino and learn how to do an arena again. Because like when I bought the Mavs, the arena was pretty much already done. I just don't want to be in the real estate business. And in order to compete financially, you have to be.
But is sports ownership of a major team like that, is that the best business decision you've ever made?
No, but
the valuations.
Like my best business decision was broadcast.com with Todd Wagner.
Yeah.
That literally was the start of the streaming business. But the Mavs weren't bad. I bought it for $285, and the total price when we sold was like over $4 billion.
What do you think about the Lakers selling for $10 billion?
Yeah, it's great money, right? But he already had a chunk of it, so he was just buying enough to get control. But I'm most happy for Jeannie Buss, because she is a good human. She had put her heart and soul into that team. She's done everything she possibly could. So I'm glad to see her take her chips off the table.
What about you? You're obviously a huge fan still. You still, you're in the Mavs. You just don't have the sweat and the pain. But what do you think? All these major injuries in the playoffs. With Tatum and Halliburton and is the season too long?
It's not about too long, right? The game is just so much faster, and the guys.
I think it's too long. We don't have to start. When do we start? When's we go all the way through June? This is too much.
Most teams only go to April. But here's what I would do, Billy. Rather than shortening the season, I would shorten the games. Like the WNBA games are 40 minutes. College basketball games are 40 minutes. International basketball, FIBA basketball. Everybody plays 40 minutes. High school is 40 minutes or less. Everybody plays 40 minutes but the NBA. And so if you cut the games back to 40 minutes, not only do I think there'd be less injuries, but I think they'd be a lot more watchable as well. Because like if you look at TV ratings, whether it's streaming or television, like there's an inverse relationship between how much game time there is and the ratings. Like the NFL only has like 12 minutes of football, and they have the highest ratings.
I know.
Baseball and the NHL, those are the longest games. Soccer in the United States, the longest games, and those have the hardest time with the ratings. So I think if you shorten it, fewer injuries, better ratings, and I think that's better for everybody.
I'd say hockey's the best, because these guys will play, if they have to, they'll play 2 complete hockey games. I've seen it, when you go 6 periods.
But but even then, like a typical hockey game, a top player is playing 20 minutes of ice time?
Yeah. Max. A long shift is, these 45 seconds to a minute, and then you're off the ice.
Yeah. Now obviously the game is physical, and, you have to be in just the most amazing shape, but still, basketball, I think, could benefit from a shorter game. I think hockey could benefit from a shorter game.
What do you think of Caitlin Clark? I mean, I'm going to be very honest here, and it might not be the popular thing to say, but I would never stop on a WNBA game. It's just not. It doesn't appeal to me. And then she came along, and I'm kind of liking. I hope she stays safe. Like, I don't want, they're going after her a little aggressively, but
really aggressively.
She's brought a little bit of excitement, and she's brought us weekly to the game. Okay.
Exactly right. She's like the Jordan of the WNBA, just in terms of interest. People saw she's just so good. I went to one of her games, and she didn't even play, and we still went against the Dallas Wings, who's got Paige Buchers, Enrique, I can't even pronounce her last name. And it was a great game. I really enjoyed it. And it was like the 40-minute game. So it was enough time to eat your hot dog, eat your popcorn, have fun, talk, enjoy the game, and then get out. And so, my son sent me a text. She's coming to town again August 1st. So they all want to go again.
Oh, fantastic. What sport would you, if banana ball, would you buy they say sports ownership is the way to go. Ryan Reynolds, with whatever he's got going on with his wife, he bought that soccer team for $2 million. It's now a sniff away from the Premier League. That's a huge move. I was just over on the mainland in a town called Rockport, Maine, and I watched roller derby. Women's roller derby is back there pounding each other.
I love roller derby.
It was great. We got to make that great again. You and I want to own a roller derby team.
Let's go.
Women's. Just like soccer, to me, women's game is better. I think the women's soccer game is better than the men's game.
Yeah, but women's roller derby was the shit back in the day.
We had that. Where'd it go?
We had it like every Saturday afternoon or whatever.
And the track was like a velodrome. It had the
ledge and everything. Yes. Yeah. It was just, and they'd throw them, they'd go underneath and they'd go around and they'd knock them down. Oh my God. That was the best.
Oh my God. Mark Cuban, I've kept you for too long. I mean, I'm probably costing you money right now.
Never, Billy. I always love it.
Any questions for me?
No, man. Congrats. Keep on rolling.
You're my guy. I really appreciate your time. Look at what's your favorite thing in the shelf there behind you?
Where we at? There's an NBA.
Is that a Trump bobblehead upper right?
No.
Next to Wheaties? No,
that's dirt. And so I've got my NBA trophy, and then I've got my Shark Tank Emmy back there somewhere, and it's a toss-up, but I think the NBA trophy gets it.
Fantastic. Mark Cuban, he has launched Cost Plus Drugs and just 15% margin. That's fantastic, and he's helping people out in that regard. Will he run for president or some type of? I think no. I believe that as an emphatic no. And he's pissed about the Luka trade. I'm wrapping things up here. He was furious about that, but he does think life goes on. He's excited about Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I mean, you were in.
How the hell you got that pick? I don't know. That was a very lucky.
A lot of money.
He's expensive.
Just kidding.
Man. Anyway, Mark Cuban, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Always, Billy. Appreciate you having me on. Take care.
What a good man. See you, bud. Cuban. This is my favorite part of the podcast. You get to talk about people behind their back. I really like him. He's got a good attitude. He's in that, there's a book I read by David Brooks. I didn't really read it. I kind of thumbed through it. Actually, when you look at the title, it's self-explanatory. And that's it's called The Second Mountain. Like, you spend so much of your life making money, building, looking out in a selfish way for you and your family, as you should, right? You gotta fight for your family and build your little thing. But if you do well enough, right, then it's about the second mountain. Like, it doesn't become stimulating anymore. How do you do things that are game changer, for other people? I think that's where happiness comes, when you're doing things for other people. One thing I didn't talk to Mark about, but is important, is what's happened in Texas, where he is from. And it's not that I didn't want to. I just I just thought that I would take a moment to share with you some things I wrote. The idea of these torrential rains 60 miles northwest of San Antonio, just unbelievably devastating in Kerr County and the surrounding areas. 81 deaths so far, 28 of them children. Rescue teams have done a great job. They've saved the lives of 850 people, 165 of them from Camp Mystic. And that is where people's empathy and agony has centered. A Christian camp for girls, some as young as 8, 41 children missing. It's just a lot to unpack, but I remember the feeling of dropping off my kids, my little girls, when they were like 11, to Camp Waikosuta in New Hampshire, and they were terrified. And we tell them, "Oh, no, you're going to have the best time. Don't worry. Everything's going to be more than, you're going to have the best time. It's going to be amazing how much fun you're going to have." These parents, of course, said the same darn thing. And we don't know. It's the most unbelievable situational irony. Situational irony. A Christian camp for girls getting pummeled by biblical rains. It's like, how, Lord, does this happen? A lot of people would ask, especially to the most innocent and faithful amongst us, these little kids. Maybe atheists are whispering to each other like, if there was a God, how could this happen? Well, I don't know, but I do know, in my experience, that there is no more visceral way, time and place to feel God's compassion and love than in deep suffering. I wish we felt it when we scored the game-winning goal in overtime, but that's usually when we experience hubris and pride. It's in the deep suffering where that connection is. We all live on a fallen planet. I've said this before. So where does our hope lie? Not here. In my view, and what I've come to believe in my life, here is a testing ground. Here is where we fail and are redeemed, where we suffer immensely and prepare a response. Thank God we're not, permanent citizens of this planet. We got a greater home. I've never been more grateful to know that I'm just passing through. I think of these, little girls, and I just, they've got to be God's angels. He's got to have taken them and are his angels going forward. I mean, Romans 8:28, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Whew, I just have been ripped and devastated by the whole thing. And of course, the blame game begins. Did the gutting of the federal government, cause this? Local officials and the opposing politicians will say, yes, look what you did by cutting this, the workforce. Yeah, I think that some jobs were definitely cut, 10%, but I just, the alerts for the flash flood emergency were transmitted. They did go out. I think where the manpower was affected is in communication with local authorities, but you could slice this a million different ways. But a storm that in a matter of hours causes a 29-foot surge in water levels is just unimaginable, right? I mean, no one could have prevented it. And if you're looking for a scapegoat, you can find, people posting dumb things or whatever. I just don't think it's worth the time. I think it's just like say a prayer and continue on in, life is like, there's so much suffering out there. And the only thing that, gives any type of solace in the whole thing is that those sweet angels, those little girls aren't going to experience any more suffering and pain. But boy, that is the toughest and most difficult, gut-wrenching, heart-aching thing I have seen in a long time, and I know you feel the same. All right, so I got to tell you about some things that we're doing up here in Maine, from this little island, we are going to start a little morning mics. Gonna go. We're gonna live. We're gonna stream live in the morning for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes. Go through the newspaper together. Go through some of the topics that are hitting us, and get real about it. Share honest opinions and feelings, and get into the chat section and tear it up a little bit. We'll go from everything from what I'm binging. What are you watching? I'm a complete television addict. I cannot get enough. I just finished Nicole Kidman's second season of her 9 Perfect Strangers. Anything with Murray Bartlett in it. Ever since White Lotus season 1, I will watch. This guy's unbelievable, but it's the weirdest, wackiest psychedelic thing. I just think everything Nicole Kidman is in is good. I watched The Waterfront. It was terrible, but I recommend it. It's sort of an addiction. I've pretty much seen everything, so we'll do a little of that. Independence Day, probably tomorrow morning we should break down a little. I took a digital detox, so I didn't get a chance to react to to Charlize Theron having sex with a 26-year-old on a one-night stand. Sorry for but God, everybody was in an uproar about that. I find it to be hysterical. I think women of a similar age who are happily married are like, shut up, girl. Stop you and your female empowerment, sexual empowerment thing. Just like stuff it. I think women of a similar age who are not happily married are like, tell me more, tell me more. I think men of a similar age to Charlize are probably saying, yeah, the guy probably lasted only 10 seconds. Yeah, but he was also ready to go again in 10 seconds. And I think younger women, maybe like if I were a younger one, I would probably react saying, back off. That's get off our guy, Granny. And young guys are saying, let's keep this rolling. Where Angelina at? I just love that everybody's got an opinion about this thing. It went nuts. But here's one thing about Charlize. Don't shame her. Like, why we want people who are like Brad Pitt showing up on a safe podcast, right? For sure. Because he's friends, with Dax Shepard. But Brad's always been super protected. We want Charlize to show up and share her real feelings and thoughts. Don't jump down her throat. The podcast world is where where it all happens. The old television shows are still, dealing with publicists telling them what to do. So I'm psyched that she got in there and got honest. Also, we'll talk about Karen Reed, because when you talk about Independence Day, she must have had a good one. A free woman. I watched the interview with Alan Jackson, her lawyer, and Turtle Boy had Alan on Saturday night on his live show, and that was fascinating. Just a great conversation. Alan showed up to kiss the ring, as he should, because Turtle Boy definitely, all that crowd outside the courthouse was there because of him. But Turtle told the most amazing story. He went down to the Cape for the 4th of July, and someone saw him in Mashpee, which is on the water there, south part of the Cape. And they're like, and they post, Turtle Boy's here and he's stalking Colin Albert. And they're like, whoa, what's going on? Turtle Boy wasn't doing that. He says, absolutely not. Didn't even know Colin Albert was there. But he did confess on his way back, he was going through Sandwich, which is right at the neck of where the Cape begins. And he knew, that's where Brian Higgins, Higgy Baby, lived. The one guy we haven't heard from after all this, and a lot of people think is very suspect in all this. Turtle Boy and his group, they do a drive-by down Higgy's cul-de-sac. Higgy comes out of the house, sees Turtle Boy in the passenger seat, and goes, get the fuck out of here. And he's chasing him like that. Wow. Talk about drama. Anyway, very interesting interview there with Alan Jackson. We're going to continue on that. Got some Karen Reed family member that'll be joining us, hopefully, this week. And, I was going to talk about the Diddy acquittal a little more. I mean, he's back, in jail until the sentencing. And apparently, according to his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, he got a standing ovation when he returned to the Manhattan Detention Center after being acquitted on the most serious charges. But Mark Agnifilo, his lawyer, said, yeah, all these incarcerated guys, he took one for them. This was for them. That, it was great to see that, a man like that could beat the system. I assume he meant a black guy like that could beat the system. Beat the system. He beat the woman. And then he beat the system. How can you be doing interviews cheering anything about Diddy? Give me a break. Anyway, we're going to start streaming tomorrow morning. I hope you'll join us, and we'll just build it. We'll just build it and have fun doing it. So that's it for us today. Hot mics from Maine. First time ever. Thanks to Mark Cuban for joining us. Really loved it. Interesting stuff on everything, from the big beautiful bill and the businesses he's built to the apps he uses, to Luka Doncic being leaving the Mavs, and the state of basketball and everything. So check it out. Thank you very much for being with us, and we will be back with the podcast on Wednesday and streaming tomorrow morning. First one ever. Morning mics. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Hot mics. Great title.